Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all so much for joining in. So in this session, we're going to talk all about hydration and how it can help with diabetes, right? So really happy to have all of you today join the session. The session is going to be really informative and very, very insightful. So do stay tuned for that. And also in the session, we have Coach Mehreen with us. So she is basically here in Sugarfit for the last 2 years, and she has an overall of 6 years of experience, and she has done her BSc post-graduation diploma in nutrition as well as master's degrees. And she's also a certified diabetes educator and a sports nutritionist. And like I said, she's been here with us for 2 years, and she has many clients who have reversed their diabetes, stopped their medications, and have seen really, really wonderful results. So if you have any questions that you want to ask Mehreen, as whenever the session is going, you have any doubts coming up, you can always just leave all of your questions in the comments. And after the session, we'll be taking up a couple of your questions. So please stay tuned and leave all of your questions in the comment section as well. And over to you, Mehreen. Go ahead, you can get started.
All right. Do you want me to start off right away, Shifa, or do we wait for a little more time for others to join in? Hello.
Mehreen, I'm not sure if we can hear you. Can you just speak again?
Yeah, I was just saying, do you want me to wait for a little while?
Okay, I'm not able to hear you. I just want to check with the audience if she's audible to you. If she is audible, just go ahead and just drop a thumbs up in the chat, right? I'm not sure if it's my, speaker or your audio. Just give me a minute. Okay, great. So she is. All right. So I think it's from my end, Mary. You can go ahead and get started.
Perfect, perfect. So thank you for the lovely introduction, Shifa. So, I'm Health Coach Mehreen, and as you all know, we would be talking about hydration on today's session here. So let me just quickly share my screen and, maybe walk you through down the lane here as well, right? So just hold on for a moment. Is my screen visible to all of you? Maybe a thumbs up, Shifa.
Yes, Mehreen, we can see your screen.
Lovely, lovely. So, as the topic says, we would be talking about the power of hydration here, right? So firstly, a very good evening to all of you, for joining in the session. And, hydration is one of the very most important topic here, which, most of us underestimate, right? So let's just talk about hydration. So, staying hydrated is one of the best thing, you can do for your overall health growth and development here as well, right? Staying hydrated can support your physical performance, and also, we are going to cover up some very important topics on how hydration help us. And more importantly, we're going to be correlating it with our diabetic condition here as well. So let's just begin with the same. Talking about hydration here, right? So, the first topic that we see here is, cell functioning, right? So the cells in our body can't function properly, without the proper fuel supply, right? So namely hydrogen, H2O, right, is the chemical formula for water, right? So hydrogen molecules and electrolytes, these are the fuel supplies here. And water is one of the body's greatest defense mechanism against inflammation as well. So if your body is very well hydrated, right, the chances of your cell to fight back and reduce inflammation increases furthermore, right? Talking about digestion now, right? So whenever you eat food, right, what happens is water helps to break down of the food here, right? Allowing the nutrients to get absorbed by our system, right? So when the food goes into our intestine, be it the small and the large intestine, what also happens is the intestines absorbs the water, and, what it also does is, it moves your bloodstream and further breaking down the nutrients as well, right? Moving to our next topic, which is joint lubrication. So many of us might have come across this term called synovial fluid, right? If we have elderly people staying at home with us, right? So, synovial fluid, it's a fluid which is present between the joints for us, for our bones here. right? So water is a major component here in the synovial fluid, right? Water, also water is necessary to help, the joint friction as well for ourselves. Apart from that, synovial fluid, lubricates and cushions the joints in our system, or, the joints in the bones here, and cartilage surrounding them, and keeping the bones, away from getting rubbed together, or wearing off, takes place in a much delayed form because of this synovial fluid which is present in the joint bone for ourselves, right? Talking about helps it to improve our kidney health. So not only kidney health, but it also helps in improvising our liver functioning as well, right? So it lessens the burdens from the kidney and the liver by flushing out the excess waste here, or the waste product, right? So when you drink good quantity of water, it protects your body's organs and tissues as well. On the similar note, increased water intake, appears to decrease the risk of kidney stone formation. So often, maybe if you come across to an individual who has kidney stones, maybe you can ask this question: how well are you keeping yourself hydrated? I'm sure the reply is going to be, I'm sure that the water intake from their end is very minimal, right? Talking about, the next important topic here, which is, blood pressure. And of course, when we're talking about blood pressure regulation, drinking water can help normalize your blood pressure as well, right? So if you're dehydrated, it can also help to lower your blood pressure. So in case, if you experience low blood pressure, go have a sip of water for yourself, right? Rather than getting into any form of medications, right? We will try sticking down to consuming water. Talking about temperature regulation, right? So when we are keeping ourselves very well hydrated, our body's, temperature regulation is also at balance, right? So it regulates the body temperature by distributing, the heat and the cooling of the body through perspiration as well, right? I'm sure all of us are, aware that our body comprises of 60% of water here, right? So, how important water is, right? I'm sure you must be having an idea by now. Moving ahead to our next very important topic, which is electrolyte, balance. So name it, sodium, calcium, potassium, chlorine, phosphate, and magnesium. These are all electrolytes, right? You get them from the food that you're having, also from the fluid, that you drink. So levels of electrolyte in your body can become too low or too high in case if there is an imbalance. So if we are keeping ourselves very well hydrated, the balance would be maintained, right? That can happen when the amount of water in the body changes, of course, due to dehydration, or it could also happen due to overhydration as well, right? Moving to our very next, interesting topic, which is weight management. And, most of us are striving, in order to reduce down our body weight as well. We might have tried a lot of, different kind of diets. Many of us have also tried out, some medications in order to reduce down our weight. But ask yourself, are you having a check on your water intake, right? So science suggests that, water can help the weight loss in a variety of ways here, right? It may suppress your appetite, boost your metabolism, and, makes exercise even more easier and efficient as well, right? So these are some very important, topics that, of course, hydration is leading up to the betterment of our lives as well. So let's try having, while we are here on the, maybe session as well, let's sip on a little bit of water to go ahead with, right? Now, moving ahead to the most important topic here, let's go inside diabetes and hydration. So when we're talking about diabetes, diabetes is a chronic condition that can cause serious health complications for ourselves when, of course, it is left untreated, right? So, when we're talking about that, increased urination and thirst are a sign of dehydration, right? So, which are, some of the most important symptoms of, dehydration here, right? It's important to take early steps to rehydrate your body and maintain, healthy blood glucose levels as well, right? So if left unchecked, dehydration can take a toll on yourself, and, it can also become life threatening for you as well, right? So increase the risk of kidney failures, seizures. You can also go into coma as well if you are keeping yourself very well dehydrated, right? So not trying to scare you up here, but, I'm just trying to help you to understand the importance of hydration, right? So that you are well equipped, knowing your medical condition and taking the necessary steps and precautions on the same note here as well, right? So talking about that, of course, medication, exercise, and healthy diet would definitely lead to, lowering your blood glucose level. But here, hydration is also a very most important part here, right? So high blood glucose levels, right, can be reduced in our system once we are keeping ourselves very well hydrated, right? So moving ahead to, medications, right? So when we are diabetic, of course, we are taking in a lot of medicines for ourselves, in order to manage our diabetic condition, right? So these medications has diuretics in them. So what are diuretics? These are medicines that helps to reduce the fluid buildup in our body here, right? They are sometimes called water pills as well, right? Most diuretics helps the kidney to remove the salt and water through the urine here, right? This lowers the amount of fluid flowing through the veins and arteries, right? As a result, what happens here is, the blood pressure goes down for us, right? Going ahead, of course, it has diuretics and SGL2. Might be, a very heavy word, but, the full form of it is, it's sodium glucose co-transporters here, right? So these inhibitors are a class of oral drug. So, when these are prescribed, these are also approved by FDA, right? To use in the diet and exercise, and to lower the blood glucose levels with people, suffering from diabetes. So apart from that, some medications also lead to, maybe a lot of urination. So make sure you are keeping a track of your medications as well, to as to what medicine are you having for yourself on a regular day basis. Apart from that, let's move on to our next topic, which is excessive thirst, right? A very common sign here, when we are detected with diabetes, right? So, we might be feeling too thirsty, our throats drying up way too much, right? So frequent thirst, when we are feeling, when our throats are drying up, what we also do here is that we tend to drink a lot of water in order to quench our thirst, right? So this, is also a natural response to dehydration yet again, right? So this is called polydipsia, right? So in order to prevent, these kind of, excessive thirsting issues, with diabetes here, let's try avoiding a lot of caffeinated beverages in our intake. So when we're talking about caffeinated beverages, I not only mean tea or coffee, but I also mean, maybe carbonated beverages. They too contain a lot of caffeine into the same here, right? So choose plain water, right? So plain water is so underestimated these days. It's running available for you 24/7. Let's have them. It's free of cost for us. Why purchase? Invest a lot into, maybe expensive coffees or teas, right? Let's have plain water. It's so beneficial for you here. Or maybe, in case if you don't like the taste of plain water, let's have infused water to quench our thirst. Yes, talking about polydipsia, now polyuria, right? So this happens when, when your blood glucose levels have elevated, right? So what happens is, with a high level of, sugar readings, excess glucose from the bloodstream is also removed on the similar front. How is it removed? It is removed through urination, right? So this can, as a result, lead to a loss of fluids, electrolytes, potentially again leading to dehydration for ourselves here, right? So in order to, regulate, regularly monitor our blood glucose levels, is very much important, right? So try checking your sugar readings on a regular day basis in order to avoid hypoglycemia. This can be prevented and controlled as well on the same front. Now we've talked about polydipsia, we've talked about polyuria. These are, some very common terms: increased, urination and excessive thirst. Talking about a very new topic, maybe most of us might not be aware of, which is hypovolemia, right? So now what is hypovolemia? It is a severe case of dehydration here. Individuals with diabetes, may also get, hypovolemia, and which reduces the blood volume in your system. This further impacts your blood pressure, and, it also has a great impact on your overall health as well. Right? So try sipping water throughout the day and drink at least, around 8 glasses of water, right, is what I would be recommending you moving further here, right? Electrolyte imbalance. The next thing here is for us. We've talked about electrolyte imbalance, in our previous slides, talking about, how important it is to, balance out our electrolytes in our system. Talked about, of course, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These are all electrolytes which are present, right? So frequent urination can disrupt the balance of these electrolytes in our system, right? Therefore, leading to electrolyte imbalance, right? So in order to balance out our electrolytes in our system, let's add little lime and salt in the water to replenish the lost electrolytes here as well. Yeah. So, let's talk about some symptoms of dehydration. You might be, you might have come across that, people are complaining of thirst, right? If you're thirsty, go grab yourself a bottle of water, drink them. Dark urine, right? So I would be, talking about urine in our next slide by letting you know how you can self-examine them as well, right? So apart from that, dry mouth and skin is also some other symptoms. You feeling fatigued. Most of my patients come and tell me, on the time of joining in the program, ma'am, I'm feeling too fatigued, too drained out, very tired. Go grab a glass of water, sip it slowly, right? Sometimes we feel that we are feeling too dizzy. We're having a lot of headache, rapid heartbeat, muscle cramps, muscle spasm. Go grab a water, a bottle of water, sip into the same, right? So, these are some symptoms of dehydration. In case if you experience any of these, you know the answer to it now. Yes? So talking about, as I promised, we would be talking about urine color chart here as well, right? So when we're talking about that, if your urine is clear, it's absolutely a good sign here. If it's light yellow, it's a good, it's good again, but clear urine is extremely good here. So yellow urine is, says it's fair. Dark yellow tells you that we are lightly dehydrated, right? Amber color says we are dehydrated for sure, without a second thought. Brown colored urine says we are very well, very highly dehydrated. And red color urine says that, it indicates that we are severely dehydrated, right? So keep a check on your own urine, right? So that you understand whether you are hydrated or dehydrated on the same front here. Yep. So how can you, improvise your hydration levels? So when we're talking about improvising our hydration, in our system, aim to drink at least 8 glasses of water a day, right? We can do this by, in case if we forget on drinking, water, we can keep a bottle of water right in front of a working desk in case if we are working individual. In case if we are not working, we can carry reusable water bottles everywhere that we are going. So for example, if you're going out for shopping, make sure you're carrying 1 liter bottle of water. So the weight of the bottle, would give you a reminder that, it's time for you to have water on the similar front. Apart from that, if you forget on having water, let's keep reminders for ourselves, right? There are so many apps now coming forward, so let's maybe keep ourselves, let's download any of those apps which gives us a water reminder. It's time for you to drink, sip on a glass of water, right? Something like this notification would be coming to you, right? And we would be understand, we would also recall that of course it's a time for us to drink water on the same note. So, I've already touched upon this point that, infused water, right? Drink infused water. We can infuse. Some tips I would be giving you, maybe, let's try infusing cinnamon, lemon, a little bit of mint leaf, chopped ginger into 1 liter glass of water. We can also add chia seed into the same. And let's try sipping it throughout the day. This will also, give the water that we're having a good taste, and would also keep your sugar level at in a controlled range. Of course, if you're adding certain certain food items like maybe chia seed, which gives us good fiber as well throughout the day. Apart from that, it would also detoxify our system as well. So why not just add them into our drinking water? Apart from that, eat hydrating foods as well, right? Limit on your intake of caffeinated beverages. Keep a track on your water intake. How many glasses of water did you drink today, right? So, let me know, so that, maybe drop down in the chat section, how many have you drunk today? Maybe by the end of the session, I'll have a check on the same front here as well. Apart from that, since we've talking about medicines as well, right? Monitor your medication, specifically talking about diuretics here. Yes. So here are a few questions. I would be, I'm sure you might be having these in mind. In case if you have, apart from these questions, you can drop down a message in the chat section, and I would be taking up maybe later here as well. So does hydration help you to reduce your blood glucose levels? Of course, yes. So when, any of my users come up and tell me, ma'am, I've had this for my meal and my sugar levels have shot up. What can I do instantly to bring it down here? So what I say, what I tell them is, let's have 2 glasses of water, and, let's go out for a quick stroll for 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes, right? So of course, adequate hydration, when you're keeping yourself very well hydrated throughout the day, after meals, it will help you to reduce down your postprandial spikes as well. And of course, will also reduce down your glucose fluctuations as well, right? Next question that you might be having is, how much of water do you need to drink in a day, right? So for men, it might be like around 13 glasses. For women, it might be like around 9 glasses of water. Should I avoid drinking large volumes of water at once? Of course, yes. So, as I, also mentioned many a times while, on this session, that try sipping little water throughout your day rather than having large volumes at once, because this can lead to low sodium levels for you, right? Moving to our next topic. Can I drink tender coconut water for hydration? So when we are talking about tender coconut water, in case if you're not diabetic, of course, it's a great, hydration fluid for us. It is also loaded with a lot of electrolytes. But since we are diabetic, occasionally taking it in moderate quantity is, all right. However, make sure you are more reclining towards, water in order to keep yourself very well hydrated. Yeah. Apart from that, next question, can drinking water help with managing other health conditions? As I already spoke about, maybe our liver and our kidneys, our cells, organs, these are all getting replenished, it acts as a protecting agent, water acts as a protecting agent. Of course, water is very important. Drink adequate amount of water. This will help you to improvise your blood pressure as well. And, not to forget, as I also mentioned, livers, would also be flushing out the extra toxins from the system. Not to forget, uric acid levels are also well maintained by having good quantity of water as well. Next question, what is the ideal temperature of drinking water? Of course, room temperature, right? But if you just warm up the water, this will also give good benefits to, boost up your metabolism, your sleep quality improvises. It also improvises gastrointestinal issues as well for you, right? So keep yourself well hydrated is what I would be saying. And yeah, that is it from my end for today. So I'm looking forward to see in case if you guys have any questions, queries regarding to the same, so that, maybe I would just take it up and answer them as well. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Mehreen, for such a wonderful presentation. So, one of the questions is by Mr. Mahesh, right? So, he's asking, what is the recommended, you know, quantity of water that you should be drinking daily? And there are many people who are asking similar questions, like, is it a minimum of 8 glasses? Like, so what would be your suggestion for this?
Yes, yes. So in the same manner, as I already said that, have for, since he's a male, right, drinking 13 glasses of water is what I would be expecting from his end. In case if there's a woman, 9 glasses of water is what I would be recommending. So, apart from glasses, if you ask me about the liters, so maybe around 3.7 liters, maybe to be very specified, right, is what I would be suggesting you moving further. In case of men that I'm talking about, women has they have a different quantity altogether.
Got it. Thank you so much, Mary. So the next question is by Miss Reshma. So she's asking, does fasting spike your, glucose levels? Can that be, something that happens?
Yes. So when we're talking, when we are talking about fasting and raising, our blood glucose levels being increased, of course, it totally depends from one individual to the other. Of course, intermittent fasting, if we go into very deep into the same, right, we need to have a check on the similar front. While you're fasting, what are the readings for you, right? So in most of the cases, fasting does help, but when we are keeping the gap between two meals way too high during the day that I'm talking about, of course, it's not a very good sign here, because that could also, again, aggravate your issue and complicate it as well for you, right? Any other queries here?
Yes. So, Mehreen, also there's a question, right? So, they're saying that they don't typically get, thirsty, right? So, in that case, what can you do, in order to drink water when you're not at all thirsty?
Yes, yes. So in these cases, what we can really do is, as I guided you, through the slides as well, infused water is the best way here. It is the solution to it as well, right? So even if you're not thirsty, right, make sure you are always carrying a bottle of water wherever that you're going. Even if you're working, put a bottle of water right in front of you, infuse them. That would attract you, and would also give you as a reminder as well, if it is available right in front of us as well, right? So make sure, be it you are thirsty or not, right? Our body also gives us an indication that we are dehydrated as well. Try having a check on, all of those parameters for you, which I just explained on the slides earlier, right? Try keeping a check on the symptoms. If you're getting one, make sure it's high time you should be drinking good quantity of water for yourself as well, right?
Got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So another question is, can we take water with our meals?
Yes. So when we're taking water with the meals, of course, it can be taken with our meals as well, specifically in case if we are looking for weight loss, right? So when we are looking for weight loss, what is happening here is, when we're taking water and the food, the two together, of course, it has a, when we're having, as I already explained, when we're having water with the food, it tries breaking down the food, and it tries to absorb the nutrients from your food items here as well, and providing it to the body on the similar front, right? So what actually happens is, when we're looking for weight loss, right, and when you're having water along with the food, right, so more of water is going into our system, right, and this will also keep our hunger pangs to bay as well on the same note, right? It can be taken along with the food that we're having, of course, but to keep in mind the quantity. If you're having, gulps of water all together while you're having a meal, that's not a great sign here, because this can impair your absorption of nutrients in your system up as well. right? So always keep in mind that the quantity that you're having should be very minimal. Maybe little sips of water can be taken in, because in case if you're having too dry food as well, right, it would be really difficult for us to gulp it down if there is no help or support from the water from the other end for us. Yeah.
Got it. So since you had spoken about the, infused water, right? There are some couple of questions about, what can we use to make infused water? Like, is there any particular thing that you would recommend?
Yes, as I mentioned, for example, take liter full of water. We can add a cinnamon stick, 1 inch of cinnamon stick to the same. We can also, what we can do here is take one full lemon, right? Chop it into half. One half can be sliced or diced and infused into the water. The other half can be squeezed in to the water. We can also add chia seed into it, just to add a little bit of fiber into the water that we are drinking in. And of course, chia seed has n number of, benefits as well going down the lane. Apart from that, we can also add roughly chopped, maybe mint leaves, roughly chopped, maybe ginger as well can be added. So, this acts like a great detox drink as well for us. So, maybe we can all try it next time in order to have such infused water for ourselves.
Got it. So there is another question. This is by Mr. Bhaskar. So he's saying that he takes tea 2 times in a day with honey. So is it allowed for people with diabetes?
Yeah. So here, when you're asking me honey and diabetes, so when we are detected with diabetes, right, what is our main goal here? Our main goal is to minimize our carb count, right? So what is honey? Definitely it's simple sugar here, right? Is the finest form of carbs here, right? So definitely, even if you're having half a teaspoon as well, it would spike up your readings as well, right? So when you're asking me about, maybe tea or coffee, right, there are few food items which all of us should be restricting in case if we are diabetic. One is, of course, caffeinated beverages, right? Be it tea, coffee, or sodas that we spoke about, right? So this could be restricted. Apart from that, we should also restrict on milk intake, right? So when we're talking about milk intake here, right, of course, this also keeps us hydrated for sure, not to forget the same. But when we're talking about milk, most of the milk that we're getting, specifically the packeted milk, if the cow is, if the cow is at, maybe, if it is available in the farm, right? If it is domesticated from our end, it's very safe for you to have it. But the non-domesticated, cattles or the cows, which gives milk here, they are injected with a lot of, antibiotics, and, a lot of injections are given to them, hormonal injections to be very specified on, right? So this would not, improvise your condition, rather create more complications for us going down the lane here. So coming back to your topic, whether, tea or coffee can be added, maybe can we add on honey, sugar, molasses, jaggery, it's a complete no-no for us. In case if you're looking for a reversal, we need to avoid on these, food intakes from our end. Also, not only the sugary item, which is leading to a spike for us, but when we're having tea, what also it does here is it creates a lot of inflammation in your gut health, right? This further leads to a spike as well for us. So, if you have a CGM on, put it on, have the tea, check it, pre and post readings. Also, if you don't have a CGM, we can just check it with the glucometer and have a better understanding. Don't believe it because I'm saying it. Believe it because you see the numbers changing for yourself. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So another question is by Mahesh, sir. He's asking, can we take giloy juice with water?
Definitely, yes. Giloy is an excellent source. We can definitely include in our regular intake as well. It can also be taken, on an empty stomach in the morning, right? That would really help you to, bring down your numbers as well. Yeah. Maybe 5 ml. If you ask me the quantity, 5 ml would be doing great in a glass full of water here.
Got it. Thank you, Mary. So another question. So basically, this is all about like nighttime urination, right? So they're saying that they try to drink a lot of water, but they have a lot of they keep getting up in the night to urinate, and that kind of impacts their sleep. So in that case, what can they do? Can they not take this much water, or what would be your tips for that?
Yes. So when you're talking about, night urination, since you're having a lot of, of course, you might be also getting a lot of thirst, quench of thirst because of dry throat, dry mouth, right? So you might be, looking forward to have more sips of water throughout the day. But what we can really do is, if possible, we'll try restricting our water intake post 7 as much as possible until we are going off to bed. Jitna pani peena aap subah tak le lo, दोपहर शाम तक ले लो until 7, right? Post 7, we'll try minimizing our water intake. In case if we are getting these, maybe if you're feeling very thirsty, right? Excessive thirst is coming for us. Try warming up the water and try sipping it. This will avoid you to visit the washroom, very frequently, and will sort out your issue here as well.
Got it. So another question, this is, I think Pankaj sir is saying that he rarely drinks water other than in my 3 mugs of tea every day. If I feel
Sorry, I
thirsty,
didn't
then
get you. Shifa, can you just repeat? I lost you in
yes,
between.
sure. So basically, he's just saying that he rarely drinks water other than in his tea that he takes 3 times in a day. And if he does feel thirsty, then I will have water. But otherwise, I have managed quite well for all these years. So, you spoke about, like the dark urination and like, the looking at the urine for your level of hydration and, just talking also about, we just spoke about drinking water when we're not even thirsty. So what would suggest for someone who has not been taking sufficient water throughout the years? How can they get started with this?
Yes. So, first things first, right? Maybe you might be thinking you're doing too well, but if we look at you very closely, maybe do a self-examination, be it a physical examination, be it through urination as well. We might be coming across some symptoms that would indicate that, your body is dehydrated. So many a times, we don't understand that our body is lacking on protein, do we? We don't, right? But of course our body's requirement is such, right? So if we cut on any of these, be it our micros or water, it is very essential, just like oxygen. Water is very essential for our lives as well, right? So us having water into our life is very important. Maybe maybe we can have a quick check on you, right, in order to understand better about maybe the water, our intake and the dehydration level as well. And we could work on it as well on the same front. So in order to increase your water intake, of course, tea and coffee is not doing justice to you here, to be very honest. This does not, we do not count the other fluids apart from solely water. 13 glasses for men, 9 glasses for women. This is just solely pure water, right? So this does not count in your tea, coffee, fruit juices, or any other liquids, right? So make sure that you are maybe, infusing a little bit of water in case if you don't like the taste, right? And, try sipping it, to start off with, not straight away jump from 0 or 1 glass to maybe 13, but we can start off by having 2 to 3 to 4 glasses of water a day and gradually try increasing on the intensity of it as well. Maybe you can get in touch with your health coach, and your health coach would be guiding you better in order to increase your intake on the similar point here.
Got it. So the next question again is by Mr. Sanjay. So he's asking, can I take moderate alcohol that is less than 30 ml 3 times a week?
So when we're talking about alcohol and, when we're talking about the water, again, as I said, when we're talking about hydration can only be met with solely pure water, clear water, right? Which is available free of cost to us, but we underestimate and go in for, these other alterations in life as well, right? So now when you're talking about alcohol, if the quantity is very less, right? Lesser than 30, maybe I would, guide you to restrict it to, maybe having it once a week, in that case, right? And when we are going in for alcoholic intake or beverages, let's stick around to hard stencilers for ourselves, right? This would be benefiting, and not making your sugar level spike as well. These are non-caloric and non-carb rich alcoholic beverages that you can intake.
Got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So another question is basically they're saying that they are on diuretics for blood pressure. So they tend to have, frequent urination and a lot of thirst. So does the, water requirement vary with that?
Of course, yes. As I explained, definitely our water intake also varies a lot here, right? Because what happens is when you're having a diuretic, right, there's a fluid built up in our system, right? It also refrains the salt and the water, from your system, and most of it, gets out of your system through urination. So of course, there is an imbalance there, right? So in order to maintain these imbalances, as I suggested, let's add on little salt and lime and have it regularly for ourselves, or maybe we can try sipping on very little amount of water. Not I'm not asking you to have a mouthful of water, or maybe a glass full of water each time that you sit in, right? But of course little sips of water can be taken, and without second thought. And I'm sure this is not going to be difficult as well.
Got it. So another question is basically that, does also taking like, fruits like watermelon and, basically high water content foods, do they also help with hydration?
Definitely yes. As as one of the topics here on the slide was also, having, for foods which are rich in, maybe water. So when we are talking about foods which are rich in, water, let me give you, a brief understanding of the food items which you should be consuming in greater quantity. Right now, this I'm talking about in general, of course, and not in specific, to diabetes here, because of course when I'm talking about watermelon and maybe cantaloupes, these are some food items which are high on GI, which should be avoided by diabetic individuals. Maybe your health coach would be the best person to guide you on the same. So just on a general basis, I'll let you know the water percentages of, water percentage in the food items that are available. So of course, when we're having plain simple water, it gives us 100% of water that is there. 90 to 90%, 99% of water is there in fat-free milk, cantaloupes, strawberries, watermelons, lettuce, cabbage, celery, maybe spinach, and squashes, of course, right? Apart from that, 80 to 89% of water is present in fruit juice, yogurt, apple, grapes, oranges, maybe, carrots, broccoli. Cooked broccoli also, has 80 to 89% of water, pears and pineapple as well. Talking about 70 to 79% of water is there in banana, avocados, cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, potatoes, corn, shrimps as well, right? 60 to 69% of water is there in pasta, legumes, salmons, ice cream, chicken breast, right? 50 to 59% of water is there in, grounded beef, hot dogs, feta cheese, and steaks as well, right? Pizza has 40 to 49% of water. 30 to 39% of water is there in cheddar cheese and bread as well. 20 to 29 is in pepperoni, cakes, biscuits, 10 to 19 in butter, margarine, raisins, and 1 to 9% in the nuts that we are having. Also in the crackers, cereals, pretzels, taco shells, peanut butter, and oil has the least amount of water, that is present. So just wanted to give you a rough idea and rough understanding to, what are the percentages of water which is present in our daily intake. I'm sure we might be having something or the other from the, maybe list of fruits, veggies, and, maybe cereals that I've talked about here.
Thank you so much, Mehreen. It was very, insightful answer. I'll move on to the next question, right? So they're asking, how does green tea help, and can we, take plain green tea on a day-to-day basis?
When we're talking about green tea, of course, we can include it in our intake. The caffeine intake is very minimal here. It's a better, option than having, maybe tea or coffee on a whole. It could be a black tea or maybe a milk tea that we're having. It's a good replacement on the similar front. So a good quantity of green tea can be taken in for ourselves. It could be ranging from 3 to 4 cups of, green tea per day is perfectly fine for you.
Got it. Thank you, Mary. Another question. This is by Sarvana Sir. He's asking: is stevia sugar-free powder available? That is available in the market. Is that good for people with diabetes?
Yeah, very interesting topic, So when we're talking about stevia and the stevia powder, if you ask me as an individual, I do not recommend the stevia powder to anyone. Rather, let's switch to an alternate and a better, product here, which is dry stevia leaves. So, the whole stevia leaves, which are dry in form, can be used instead of stevia powder. Now, ask me the reason why are we, am I not suggesting the powder and am I suggesting the leaves? The reason being said that when we are having the powder, when we are having the stevia powder, right, these have a lot of alcoholic blends into the same, right? So there are a lot of preservatives also added onto it, right? Further going down the lane, if you're having it on a regular day basis, we will definitely see more complications for ourselves. Rather, why not stick to the base here, which is dry stevia leaves for ourselves, right? These are much more beneficial for you. In case, since the festivals are also coming down the lane, right? In case if you want to, prepare a dessert or, maybe a prasad for yourself, let's, maybe use the stevia leaves instead of the powder, right?
Got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So this is, I think, quite an interesting question that they're saying that when they take alcohol, their fasting readings are lesser, but when they don't take alcohol, it goes up. What could be the reason for this?
Yeah. So, yes, Shifa, this is a very interesting question here. And I'll tell you the reason why. With all the years of experience that I have, right? And since I've also closely looked into, alcohol consumption, the benefits, spikes, dips, all together. Not only with alcohol, whenever you have a food item which leads to a greater spikes for ourselves, right? What also happens here is when you have alcohol, there would be a huge spike for us, right? And on the same front, it would also dip down drastically, right? Which I'm sure maybe, Shifa might have also seen with her users. So there's whenever there's a huge spike, there's a huge, there's a drastic dip as well. So that might be one of the reason why you are seeing the sugar levels on the lesser side of the scale here, but that again is not a very good sign here, right? This will lead you to severe complications for yourself. So let's try avoiding such instances where we are reaching to an extreme situation for ourselves, either way too high or way too low, right? Let's try maintaining the pace, right? So the normal range for us could be somewhere between maximum 140 maximum that I'm talking about, right? 140 to 80 should be the range that we should be sticking on to in case if we are, talking about the sugar spikes. In case if we are talking about the fasting reading, let's try keeping in mind that the fasting is always below 120 for ourselves here, right? Mostly in the range of hundreds is what I would be suggesting. And yeah, that's how it should be going about as well.
Got it. Another question, Mehreen, this is basically about, dark chocolate. They're asking, is it okay to have dark chocolate in moderation?
If you're having anything in moderation, right, the dark chocolates would also be doing good. If you have an expert with you, right, maybe a health coach, the health coach would be, maybe calculating your entire day's carb count and suggesting you in what moderate quantity can you have them with, right? So, as of now, maybe since I don't know your entire, lifestyle history, right, I might not be able to give you a specified portion size that you should be taking in. But of course, in moderation, if it's taken, it's good. But of course, we need to check our readings as well in order to understand whether it's working well for us or not.
Got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So another question, this is by Miss Bharti. So she's asking, can we drink one glass of beetroot juice in a day?
So, Mrs. Bharti, in case if you're diabetic, right, I would ask you to avoid on having beetroot because of its glycemic load here, right? It's high in glycemic load. And in case if you're having any food items which are high on GI, definitely our sugar levels would be spiking up for us. We have so many other non-starchy veggies, let's try adding them into our diet. Maybe let's try having Loki juice instead. Loki is also one of the food items which has the maximum amount of water in it as well, right? We can have it on the similar front. And Loki is just one example. We can have celery juice, we can have coriander infused with it as well, right? There are n number of options. Let's switch from beetroot to some other veggie here, and that would really help us as well.
Great. Thank you, Mehreen. So another question is they're basically asking you to clarify, is it, like for men, is it 8 glasses of water or 13 glasses of water that needs to be taken on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So on a general basis, for a general crowd, be it men or women, 8 glasses is a standard, is what we should be consuming. But if you ask me to be very specific, 13 glasses for men, 9 glasses for women.
Got it. Thank you so much, Mary. So the next question is, okay, they're asking you to elaborate a bit on on drinking excessive alcohol on a daily basis for people with diabetes.
Yeah, so that will take, a way too long time, if I just elaborate on the alcohol intake as well, right? So, maybe Shifa, what we can really do is, since we have, few alcohol and its, impact on diabetic individuals, we might just, maybe send it across to them. I think that would be really helping them moving forward, right?
That would be
So,
great. Yes.
yeah.
Thank you, Mehreen. Okay, there's another question. This is by Miss Radha. She's asking, can we take couscous? Is it good for people with diabetes?
Couscous can be taken, not an issue here. And when we're talking about couscous and diabetes, yeah, an inclusion of that, is not going to, create a great, huge spikes for us here. So maybe we can try opting onto the same as well. Not an issue here.
Got it. Thank you. The next question, this is by Miss Shahnaz. She's saying that her son thinks that insulin is harmless and one can take as many doses in a day as required. So she basically wants you to clear his misunderstanding.
Yes, of course. So when we're talking about insulin, right, of course, it is helping us to bring down our sugar levels, but this for a long term is not a very beneficial side here because, when we're taking insulin, we might be saying that, it has lesser complications than, than oral medication for ourselves, but it does have a complication lined up along with the same. That's the reason why we are also, we have come up with these reversal plans as well for us, for all of you here as well, right? So definitely it has a lot of complications. Maybe, maybe we can just get in touch, you can get in touch with our, with our backend team and they will try helping you to understand the same as well. Maybe we can get you enrolled here as well, and we could help you out by understanding how great impact does any kind of medication has on your system up as well if you're taking it for a very long time. Maybe for that particular duration of time your sugar levels would be going down, but if you see your HbA1c, that is your every 3 months, sugar, average of the, your sugar readings, you might see a higher reading for yourself. So if it is really helping you, right, the HbA1c would also come down for us as well on the same note, right?
Oh, got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So there's another, basically, I think a follow-up question on beetroot. They're saying that they're taking beetroot for improving the hemoglobin because it has iron. And if beetroot is to be avoided, is it okay to have pomegranate juice?
All right. So when we're talking about beetroot and pomegranate, they all line on the same front here, right? So when we're talking about hemoglobin and to, enrich its intake, to increase the hemoglobin intake as well, why can't we just add a lot of vitamin C into our diet, a lot of iron, foods with foods which are rich in vitamin C and iron are, which might be, we can add a lot of berries in our intake, like oranges, grapefruits, berries. These are great, options, rather than to, maybe stick down to beetroot or, maybe pomegranate instead. Yeah. We can also stick down to maybe, kiwis as well. That also works well for us here.
Got. Thank you, Mehreen. So there are a couple more questions. We'll just take, a couple more before we end. They're asking, can we take palm sugar if you have diabetes?
Definitely, again, a no-no. Palm sugar, jaggery, molasses, honey, these are all a no-no for you, right? In case if you have diabetes, let's just, maybe in case if you really want to have something very sweet. Again, when we're talking about sweet here and sweet cravings, let me give you a quick understanding here as well. Many a times, our body, or maybe all of us, might be craving for a lot of sugar, right? Try having a check on your hydration level. Maybe our body is saying that we want sweet, but our I mean our mind is saying that we have we are getting sweet cravings, but our body is deprived of water. Try grabbing 2 glasses of water. Try slowly sipping onto the same, and then have a check on yourself whether you are having a sweet craving for yourself or not, right? And this would be solving your issue here as well. So any form of sweeteners are a complete no-no, be it the natural ones or the artificial ones as well.
Got it. So we'll just take one last question. This is by Mr. Matthew. So he's asking, can we have 1 or 2 glasses of water when we get up in the morning? Like, is there any particular quantity of water that we need to be, taking as soon as we wake up?
Yeah, having a glass or 2 of water is perfectly fine. No second thoughts about it. It would improve your metabolism as well if you have it on, right on an empty stomach. Apart from that, if you really want to add in, maybe water into, as you wake up in the morning, right? Maybe we can try infusing, in case if you're diabetic, we can try adding methi seeds into it, soaking it overnight. Next day morning, just have the methi seed water and chew the seeds along with it. We can also add, maybe bedtime, maybe pre-breakfast drinks as well, not bedtime, but pre-breakfast drinks, which could also have, maybe infused jeera, ajwain, or maybe saunf, which is like fennel seeds, soaked overnight. Next day morning, drink the water. You don't have to boil it. You don't have to simmer it. Just have the normal room temperature water and try chewing the seeds along with this as well, right? This is also going to be really beneficial for you. It is just an option which you can definitely look up to as well.
Got it. Thank you, Mehreen. So that was the last of the questions, and we're also out of time. So thank you so much for taking all the questions and for such a wonderful session. I think this is such an important, topic, because I think now winter is, on the way, and a lot of people tend to not feel very thirsty and kind of don't hydrate as much as they do in the summer, right? I think it's very important that we covered this. So thank you so much for joining in and taking
One
this
last
topic.
thing, Shifa, since you mentioned
Sure.
that winter is down the lane here for us, let's try, maybe having lukewarm water while the winters are heading towards, rather than restricting ourselves throughout the day, right? So I think this will also help with greater bowel movements as well for you, and would be keeping you, well hydrated throughout the day as well.
Got it. Thank you so much, Mehreen. And I just also want to thank the audience for being so patient and asking such wonderful questions. We really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you so much again, Mehreen, for giving us your time and obviously,
Most welcome,
being
Shifa.
here and educating all of us. Thank you so much for that. And that's all for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. And we all hope to see you next Friday as well with another session. Thank you, everyone. Hope all of you have a great evening today.
Thank you so much for joining, guys. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye, Mehreen. Thank you so much.